welcome to our kitchen. I'm Gordy Galusha.
I'm Patrick Meunier.
And today we're going to be making macaroni and cheese and 7-layer cookies.
So we've started up ahead of time getting the onions thinly sliced and in the pot. We've been cooking them down in half a stick of butter, 2 pounds of onions, for 20 minutes covered, and we're now currently going through 40 minutes uncovered. Seasoned with salt, pepper, garlic powder, and we're just letting it cook down. When the onions turn translucent, we took the cover off. We're letting it cook down now until the onions are nicely caramelized, and then we'll take them aside and use them in the French onion mac and cheese.
Today I'm going to make a 7-layer cookie, and it doesn't take very long to make these, so I will start. And I'm sure if you make these that you will love them. The kids will love them, I know that. I've been making these for many, many years. I have a 1/4 stick of butter in here in my pan. I put my crumbs in first, which I shouldn't have, but I'm going to do this. This is to prevent the bars from sticking. So I'm going to put my crumbs back in like that. I'm going to spread them out. It's easier to when you put your crumbs into, or any kind of a crumb into a pan, you can use a cup or measuring cup to even them out and put them in your pan. That's what it looks like when you get your crumbs in. Next, I will add a package of chocolate chips. Next, I'll add a bag of butterscotch. Make sure you have them spread out as evenly as you can. Next, you add some coconut to cover up the butterscotch morsels. Make sure it's sort of kind of even. Okay, looks good. And to this concoction that I have here, I'm going to add a can of sweet condensed milk. to be patient when you are pouring this condensed milk because it doesn't come very fast. Make sure you have it all taken out of the can. Now to this I'm going to add some walnuts. Okay, this is what your 7-layer cookies look like before they are baked. And I'm going to put them in a 350 degree oven for 25 to 30 minutes. And when they're done, you will see what the results are. Now we're going to Patrick to make his macaroni and cheese.
So today we're making a French onion mac and cheese, which is a lot like you would think of a French onion soup, but layered and baked on top of your standard mac and cheese. So for that, we've had the onions going, like we talked about at the very beginning of the show. You can use your favorite recipe for French onion soup here, but we're just using 2-pound sliced onions cooked in butter, melted down over time, 20 minutes covered, 40 minutes uncovered, splashing in water as you need to, seasoned with salt and sugar. Once this browns all the way, we're going to add some sherry into that, and that will provide one of the layers for the French onion soup base. On top of French onion soup, you always see a nice baguette, right, covered in cheese and toasted. So we're going to simulate that here. We're going to take a loaf of bread. If you had a food processor, you would use that. We don't here at the show today, so I'm just going to rip this up into smaller chunks, bite-sized pieces, right? If you were using your food processor, just use pulse a couple times. Little chunks are good. You want it to catch the butter and the seasoning. So we're going to rip this up. We're going to do enough just to coat, a 9 by 13 inch cooking sheet, right? We're going to basically layer the top of the mac and cheese with this, and then we're going to toss on another layer of cheese after. I've pre-grated Gruyere. That's the only cheese we're using to top this. And it's going to be the primary cheese in our mac and cheese sauce. So, Gruyere, pre-shredded, and you're going to rip this up. While that's going on, I'm going to take a 1/4 stick of butter. I'm going to toss that into a pan over here. And we need to get working on our pasta, so I'm going to turn our water onto high. Always season your water with salt. We're only going to cook the pasta to al dente. We're essentially looking for it to finish cooking in the sauce in the oven to end it up there. So just a little bit more of tearing this up, and we'll get toasting.
Do you have to pull apart the whole loaf, Patrick?
I'm going to do half.
Half?
I think that's enough to fill it up. Again, I'm only trying to get enough to cover the pan. So as long as I have enough to do that, everybody should be able to get a few bites of bread in it. Might save the rest and do like some garlic toast points to serve with it. But Butter's looking pretty much melted there. Start adding in some of our bread. It looks like, based on the size of the pan, I'm going to do this in a couple batches. Keep that moving, just getting nice and toasty is the goal here. Try and get as much butter coated. Might toss some more in here. Another way you could do the bread, it would just be to toss it in melted butter, put it onto a baking sheet, and bake it on a low temperature for an hour. We're not going to take that kind of time today, just stovetop's fine, but that's another way you could do it, dry it out, get it nice and crusty for the top of your mac and cheese. All right, so our onions have gotten nice and caramelized, really cooked down. We built a good fond on the bottom of this pan. So we want to use that as flavor here into the onions themselves. So we're going to take a dry sherry and we're going to pour just a little bit, maybe a little less than half a cup, right into there and get it mixed in. Try to break up all that stuff on the bottom of the pan.
That good stuff on the bottom?
Yep, all the good stuff. Need a little bit more. And we're going to let that cook all the way down until it's just about dry again. And then the onions will come off the heat and they're done and ready to add to the top of our mac and cheese. All right, so now we're going to get making the cheese sauce that we're going to put the macaroni in to serve as the base of the mac and cheese. So in the pot, I've added 2 12-ounce cans of evaporated milk. We're going to heat that up a little bit. While it's coming up, we're going to add Dijon mustard, just a hit. A single teaspoon is good. And we're going to let that kind of come up, start to simmer, and then we're going to add in our cheeses. You can do this any different way you want. Any way you want to make a cheese sauce. A bechamel is traditionally how I do it. I'm trying this out based on Jeff Morrow from the Food Network. And a lot of TikToks actually are now using this type of recipe. But you know, any way you can make a baseline cheese sauce or queso or anything like that, you can use as your base of your mac and cheese. It really comes down to preference. The thing I wouldn't skip is the cheese you use. We're using Gruyere primarily because that is a good cheese that's kind of a cheddar-y, kind of Swiss blend for what you're looking for that French onion soup flavor. So once this comes up to temperature, I'm going to add in 8 ounces of equal parts Velveeta and the Gruyere and let that kind of coalesce into a nice cheese sauce. I'm going to add in now actually just a drop of a hot sauce, your choice. I'm using one of my favorites, but it is a little hot, so just a drop will do me. There we go. Add a little heat. This one's got a good garlic flavor. And again, we'll let that come up. We'll add in the cheese sauce. Once that's together, we're going to toss in our pasta and toss it together, and that's the mac of the mac and cheese. We'll join you back here in a second once we're ready to build the mac and cheese and throw it in the oven to bake. All right, so we're assembling our final pieces here, and then we can build the mac and cheese and toss it into the oven. We have essentially as much cheese as you like at this stage of the game. We're trying to build a nice top layer. So this comes down to matter of preference, although a thick layer is what I'm going to go with today. As much as I got, should be about another pound of Gruyere. Just keep using the same stuff. Get this out of here. Still plenty more in there. And then we're going to build something akin to a French onion soup. So I have just a baking sheet here. Use whatever you like. I'm going to butter this up to prevent any stickage. And then we'll start layering it in. Okay. So we're going to start with the mac and cheese base. Dump that on in here. Spread it out. Get all that nice cheese sauce out of there. Spread it out in a thin layer best you can. All we've done is mix that with the cheese sauce that we made earlier. And that will provide the base of the French onion soup. So now we're going to come in, just like with French onion soup, with the onions. We're going to take those and layer them on top of the mac. Spread them out, trying to get an even coverage the best we can. Now you can make this a different way if you wanted. We're doing it baked today because that feels more traditional to French onion soup. But if you wanted, you could continue to make like a broth with beef stock and like heavy cream or milk. Build your cheese sauce out of that and then just make that into your mac and cheese. That would skip the step of baking. And then, you know, just use your French baguette as like a cheesy toast kind of mixture there on the side. So load it up best you can, fill up all the available space. Try to get all the edges here. Want to really make use of those flavors in every bite. Okay. And then we are going to top, again, just like French onion soup, you come in next with your bread. So we're going to take the crostini we made. We're going to layer that on top. Again, you're thinking of the bite you're going to have when you make this or you go to eat it, right? So you want to leave enough that you can get a couple of these per dish. If you want it to be really cute too, you could bake this in the French onion soup tins, right? The little crocks that they come with, yeah. Serve them up that way. All right, so there's your toasty bread. We seasoned that with salt, pepper, garlic, and now we're just going to come in over the top of that with Gruyere. If you can see the mac and cheese or the bread, you probably don't have enough Gruyere. That's my opinion. So keep layering it on. Get a nice thick layer on there. Now we're going to bake this on 400 for 20 minutes. Get the cheese nice and bubbly. If you wanted to really get the experience of the French onion soup mac and cheese, throw it under the broiler for another minute or two. Get that nice browning on top. Yep. And then we'll just toss this in the oven and be back in 20 minutes.
Welcome back to our table. This is program number 311, and today we made macaroni and cheese, onion flavored macaroni and cheese, and for dessert we made 7-layer cookies. If you would like any of these recipes, please send a self-addressed stamped envelope to 151 Park Avenue, Dalton, Mass. 01226, and that is all from our kitchen today. Please have a great day and tune again.